Hey everyone! Welcome to the new episode of Spookier Times, a podcast of horror, gothic, and weird fiction. I am your host, Robert J. Gannon, and today is a special edition. I have a new project that has launched today, a new old project to be specific. My 2013 debut collection, Takeout and Other Stories, a collection of weird fiction, finally has an audiobook edition and a special edition, which are available now. And I want to talk a little bit about the process of being a weird fiction author. So I got my first professional publication when I was still in high school. I was 16 years old in 2001 when I sold the story. It came out in 2002 when I had already turned 17. And we're talking pro rate. I had had stuff published before then as a middle school student and a high school student. But this was professional rate, like one step closer to joining the horror union or the sci-fi union, fantasy union, whatever I wanted. I never wound up joining those. Variety of reasons we're not getting into. I've been writing weird fiction as long as I can remember. It is where my skills actually lie as a writer. I got into media criticism as a way to pay the bills, and I wound up really liking it, and I love it. But I consider myself a fiction writer first, a media critic second, a playwright third. So Takeout and Other Stories is a capsule collection of 5 stories. And I wanted to release multiple of these and just didn't for a variety of reasons we're going to go into. So I want to talk about process and what it means to be a writer and what it means to establish healthy or not so healthy boundaries for how you work. It's no secret if you follow me on Sketching Details or on my social media, I have mental wellness problems. We're going by order of severity because it changes with the amount of problems I have. I have obsessive compulsive disorder, PTSD, clinical depression, and general anxiety disorder. PTSD is the newest addition, but all of this developed by the time I was 18. So I am still growing up. I'm still developing. The body's still growing and changing until your early 20s. I can't remember exactly when they say it stops, like gets to that fully developed point. But imagine, I have undiagnosed OCD and anxiety as far back as I can remember. Once I got diagnosed, and like, these are all symptoms. I'm like, this makes sense. Like, I remember doing stuff at like 3-4 years old that fit the diagnostic criteria for this. I didn't know what it was like not to have a running monologue of all the reasons why I am personally responsible for every bad thing happening on Earth until I went on medication a few years ago. I thought everyone had that. That's how long I had OCD. Depression formed a little bit afterwards. I did not have a good experience in school. I was a great student and I won a lot of awards and did a lot of competitions and was constantly propped up by the school as like, he's great, give us money. But I was also being abused by my peers and teachers and adults in my life, and it wears you down. It really does. I'm not going into why I couldn't get treatment until I went to school. I will say the entertainment industry is very hesitant to actually support mental wellness in a meaningful way, but it is slightly getting better. But when I was making a go at it, I was threatened with losing jobs and contracts if I went on medication because it would change me as an artist and then no one would want to work with me. No, the only thing it changed is that I could safely work and actually function in society without feeling like my heart was going to explode at any minute from the constant unending panic attacks. But imagine an 11-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old, an 18-year-old finding their voice as a writer of horror, sci-fi, and fantasy. Everyone starts experimenting with writing when they're younger. They're forced to in classes. Not every fiction writer like starts then, but a lot of us do. A lot of us have those early stories that we look back and laugh at. Oh, it's so cute. Look at what I was doing. Wow, I guess I was already doing that stuff. For me, I was learning how to write with such a perspective removed from the normal in society that people loved the result, but constantly try to change how I reached it. I know for a fact that my writing habits are not sustainable long term. If you knew the damage I caused to my well being, physically and mentally, while pulling together the hashtag 31 Days, a collection of horror essays, volume 1 book on the timeline I gave myself, you would probably be more scared than you would be reading the stories in this collection. I was not good to myself in that, and it brought back a lot of really unhealthy habits that I'm trying to work through. One of those things, and there's goods and bads to it, and it's why I switched to writing flash and short fiction. The easiest way for me to actually complete a story, any kind of story, article, whatever, I need to sit there straight through and write it. If I do not finish some kind of draft in one section, it will take me years to finish a story. I have pieces of 100-word fiction that literally took me years to get to a point I feel good about. Why? My OCD constantly has me question everything I do. And I'm playing a game of 4D chess with myself. If this sentence does not hit exactly the way it needs to, you are going to destroy your career, everyone around you. You will be this, you will be that, the world will end. Even not having the full-on constant monologue of that, now that I'm medicated, I still have the physical anxiety reaction if things are not going right. I have abandoned more stories than most people have written in their entire lives. Most writers have written in their entire lives because I physically could not get through a draft in one day. And when that happens, I usually have to give it away. I have to stop. I have to start over. I have to turn it into something different. It'll become a painting or a song or something, but I can't. I am getting better about that. I found other ways to work. But when I created this collection, that's how I had to work. So let's talk a little more about Takeout and Other Stories. There's a very specific order to the stories. And it was designed in the moment and limited to just the 5 stories because I wanted the reader to experience what it felt like for me to have a panic attack without writing a story about a panic attack. So Once Upon a Time is a story about a young boy obsessed with horror who keeps sneaking out to the library to read every book he can get his hands on. It is a story of obsession and the idea that choosing the wrong thing to do, falling slightly out of your routine, can completely change your world. The next story is Black Dirt Country. This is where obsession starts to impact the daily life and the people around you. So a young man decides he's going to convince his family to return to the orchard they used to go to for apple picking when he was a very young child. And he convinces them nothing's going right, and by the time they get there, he realizes this was a terrible idea, but he has to see it through because he has no choice but to see it through. If he doesn't see it through, he has failed. Third is Takeout. This is where obsession starts to become dangerous and the ideas spiral out of control. A bachelor who does not cook comes home from work and sees that his kitchen has come to life and is trying to attack him, to kill him, cook him, and serve him as a meal. Some of the thought processes this character goes through are more terrifying than the end of the story. And that is by intention. And the end of this story is, I got scared rereading this for the audiobook. I'll put it that way. So this is obsession actually leading to anxiety and fear and consequences for action and inaction. This is the story where the character cannot win because the idea is there and nothing can stop it. Physics is a piece of flash fiction about a deal. It is the peak of my anxiety attacks, my panic attacks, where I'm willing to say or do anything to make it stop. Stone Cold is the final story in the collection, and it is the numbness that follows resolution, which I now know is dissociation. Two friends become obsessed with this object they find hidden in the sand on the beach and have to have it. Nothing will stop them. That is the arc of the collection. Why are we getting a new release in 2021? Why is the audiobook just coming out in 2021? That was something I promised would happen shortly after the book was released. And for whatever reason, I started having really, really bad panic attacks about getting this audiobook done. Nothing was right, nothing sounded right, nothing worked right, nothing was correct. There was no good way to do this. So I didn't. And I abandoned a project I was very proud of. In the early stages of marketing, like I could have really made this something big. But out of anxiety and fear and trauma and all those things that have defined so much of my life, I pretended the book didn't exist anymore. The reception I received for hashtag 31 days. Forget that brought out some of the worst OCD tactics in my writing to get it done in time and made me realize I need help to find a safer process, which I am in the process of doing, and it's going well. It's just a lifetime adjustment. The reception made me realize I can do this. I looked at hiring a narrator, and I would have committed to it, but the base rate for the services I wanted to use, right? Like there are companies I trust with narrators that are wonderful, who my friends have used, who my colleagues have used. I could not justify the cost for a 5-story collection for their minimums. So I did it myself. Y'all, I had so much fun reading these stories again. Now that I'm medicated, now that it's been 8 years, almost 8 years, it was a spring release, since this book came out, I'm a very different person now. I don't remember most of what I wrote in these collections. I knew the general idea, but I scared myself. This writing is scary. And it was a joy to get into all these different mindsets and make these stories come to life using my voice on my own words. I'm proud to release this collection today on February 15th. It's going to be available on all the servers. Everything is delayed right now. Like, there are services that hashtag 31 days is supposed to be on for the audiobook and the ebook that still have not published it. Everything is so far behind because of the panorama. And I gave them a long lead time for this collection, and it still didn't work. The best place to get it is on my Ko-fi. And one other thing you can pick up on my Ko-fi is the special edition release of Take Out Another Stories, a collection of weird fiction. The joy of this, listen, it doesn't take much to inspire me. Like, I'm writing a Great Gatsby musical because everyone's like, oh, you can write a musical now. I'm like, great, let me do it. Bet. I saw a TikTok meme start to pop up that I thought was hilarious and a perfect way to monkey paw my way into a new edition of this collection. The meme is simple. Why don't books written for adults come with maps and illustrations? Oh, you want some pictures to help you with my stories? Sure. Here you go. I have a map for every story in the book that matches the tone and style and intention and offers you a little glimpse into how I view these worlds. Everyone I've shown them to is terrified of what I did. Everyone wants to know why I did what I did. For the meme. The special edition costs the same as the regular ebook edition. They're both $2.95. But the special edition has the maps. And everyone wants pictures to make a comeback in adult fiction. The audiobook and ebook are available for sure on my Ko-fi. Ko-fi.com/RobertJGannon/shop. They are $2.95 each, audiobook or ebook. You can get a bundle for $5. I'm also doing a giveaway. I'll put the links in the description for the episode through Gleam. I love Gleam. And you have until, let me check for sure. You have until February 26th to enter the giveaway for a chance to win the audiobook and the special edition ebook. These come as a compressed file featuring all the MP3s and a PDF and EPUB version of the book. You can press a button that lets you get an entry, but you can also do things like follow me on Twitch, visit my YouTube, visit my website, retweet the tweet about the re-release of Takeout. Click this, click that to get points. Each point is an entry. 10 people are going to win it. By the time the next episode comes out, 10 people have already been contacted. Here you go. Congratulations. I just ask, if you do win the giveaway, review the book. Write about it. Tell people about it. And if you don't win the giveaway and you read it, review the book. If you say the book is the worst thing you've ever read in your life, write it. I want people to discuss this. And I'm going to tell you right now, the reviews I've gotten on the book have a common theme, and I don't disagree. But I disagree, but I get where they're coming from. The book has good reviews. It does, genuinely. The caveat is, why is the collection so short? I had over 20 stories I could have thrown in this collection. And they would have fit and they would have worked. The plan that I abandoned because of the panic attacks was releasing these capsule collections every year. There would have been 4 to 6 stories in each. And just a new theme, a new concept, a new something to tie them all together. It was going to be a series. They cost under $3 each. It's like a chapbook. It was always intended to be let me get a little booth at a con, sell the book, get people to read it in person, give them away at panels. It just didn't happen because my brain sabotaged itself. And I can't do that anymore. I have many more publications coming out this year in fiction, nonfiction, and playwriting spaces, as well as the game that's going to come out. And hopefully, and it's my first time mentioning this ever, a specific kind of album coming out just in time for Halloween. So that is the end of this episode of Spookier Times, a podcast of horror, gothic, and weird fiction. Once again, I am your host at Robert J. Gannon. The audiobook and special edition ebook of Take Out and Other Stories, a collection of weird fiction, are available at my Ko-fi. All of the links are in the description below. And until next time, have fun exploring horror. Maybe pick up a good book.